Thank you so much for having me today and dedicating time, which is one of the most valuable resources that you could give to somebody. I am so eternally grateful that you have done that for me today. And without further ado, I'd like to talk about plant power. Plant power, this is a review of herbal medications, uses, and also some common drug interactions. And just a disclaimer, this information is educational only. It's not a substitute for an individual patient consultation. The doses listed on these slides may also vary significantly by product, but I just wanted to bring some awareness on some of the drug interactions and some of the herbal medications that you may come across. My resources are cited at the bottom of the page if you want further information on any of these herbals. Our objectives today would be to identify common herbal medications, uses, and typical dosing, and then also to describe the side effects and drug interactions that these medications can have, as well as recognize organ-specific cautions and patient populations at risk. So we have about 20 of these today, and these are the most commonly encountered in general public, so any supermarket, Whole Foods, or any herbal supplement store. These are the most common ones that you might see. And the first one is aloe vera. So aloe vera is a plant native to subtropical climates, and the products can be derived from gel, latex, or the whole crushed leaf. And it can reduce inflammation. It can also draw water into your intestinal tract, which aids in peristalsis and digestion. And it can also enhance your skin protection against radiation damage, as well as increase collagen in wounds. So that's why the common uses of this medication will be digestive issues, weight loss because of that gastric motility, peristalsis piece. It can also reduce blood sugars, and it can treat sunburns and wounds, which is the most common use that we know of. Again, I won't go through the dosing in detail because it is going to vary per source, but the most typical dosing is listed on these slides for you. And I absolutely can email this out at the end of the presentation. I just wanted to mention that the aloe vera latex is now banned because it can cause kidney issues. So you should not be finding that out in the public. The biggest side effects of this medication are going to be stomach upset. It can also cause low potassium, and counterintuitively, it can cause a rash. Drug interactions with this medication can be anticoagulants. So these are going to be your blood thinners, what you might have after a stroke or a pulmonary embolism, blood clot anywhere. So Eliquis, warfarin, Xarelto might be common interactions. Any medication prescribed for diabetes might interact with this, as well as a heart medication, digoxin. Diuretics, which are water pills, you might know them as furosemide, Lasix, or hydrochlorothiazide, may have effects. And also stimulant laxative, because it can cause more like GI motility, so you can, have diarrhea and go to the bathroom more. So the biggest caution as far as organs is to be careful if you already have existing stomach issues and kidney issues. The next one is ashwagandha. So this is an evergreen shrub found in India, Africa, and the Middle East. And the products of this can be derived from the root or the leaf. And what it can do is it can work on the HPA axis, and which is essentially responsible for stress hormone regulation. And it can also enhance a neurotransmitter called GABA. So anytime you hear GABA, think of sedative effects. So it can cause sedation. And this also provides antioxidant compounds, which help with, free radical elimination, protecting cells from damage and stress. So the common uses of this medication is going to be stress reduction, anxiety, insomnia, and also for its anti-inflammatory properties. The side effects of this medication are generally drowsiness, headaches, and GI upset. And things to be careful with as far as drug interactions, anything that can be a CNS depressant, which means anything that can sedate you essentially. So think of Lyrica, gabapentin, opioid medications, medications that you might take to help you sleep might interact with this herbal. Thyroid hormone replacement may interact as well because this actually increases your T3 and T4 levels. And immunosuppressants are something that we should be cautious of. So not only steroids, but medications that you might see in transplant patients. This herbal can cause your immune system to be more active, so that could cause problems there. And also patients on anticonvulsants or any sort of seizure medicine can have an interaction with this herbal. So as far as organ systems, be very cautious if you have, liver dysfunction and thyroid disorders, but also if you have any autoimmune disorders, or especially if you are pregnant. This is not a good herbal to use. The next one is black cohosh, and this is a member of the buttercup family, and that grows in North America. And you're going to generally see the products come from the root. It can have effects on the estrogen receptors. So this plant has compounds pretty similar to estrogen. They're called phytoestrogens. And these phytoestrogens can actually interact with your own natural estrogen receptors in your body. And it can also have effects on the serotonergic pathways. So anytime you hear like serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, think of like your feel-good neurotransmitters. And the common uses of this medication would be for menopausal symptoms, so hot flashes. It can also be used to increase fertility, and patients take it if they have depression. The side effects of this medication can be CNS related, so think mental side effects like dizziness, you can get headaches. It can also cause stomach upset and liver toxicity. The biggest drug interactions with this is hormone replacement therapy. So if you're already on hormone replacement therapy for hot flashes, this one might not be the best one to take because you don't want too much estrogen. Phytoestrogens actually may stimulate breast tumor growth, so that's something to be cautious of. And this one should be avoided in liver dysfunction. Next, we have cinnamon. And this herbal is derived from the dried bark of cinnamomum trees. And you're going to have different cinnamon trees all over the world. It works by blocking your gastrointestinal enzymes. So what's going to happen is you're going to have decreased starch digestion. So your blood sugar after you eat a meal doesn't spike up. So the most common use of this medication is going to be blood sugar reduction, cholesterol lowering, and also weight loss. It can upset your stomach, and you can be allergic to this. There is a rare but serious side effect of possible bleeding. There is like a coumarin content in one of the types of cinnamon trees, which is the Cinnamomum cassia, and that acts kind of similar to warfarin. So drug interactions with this medication would be one, warfarin, which is a blood thinner, and then second, any anti-diabetic agent, because you're going to have the compounding effect of blood sugar lowering. And be very cautious of this herbal in liver dysfunction. The last slide we have before our first Jeopardy question is cranberry. So this grows on an evergreen shrub, and it's usually in wet habitats in the Northeast and North Central parts of America. And you can get products from the flower or the leaf of this plant. It actually prevents E. coli bacteria from binding to the bladder because it has proanthocyanidins, and it can also like acidify your urine, so it makes it less likely to get a urinary tract infection. So most common uses are going to be UTI prevention and treatment. A potential side effect of this medication, one is diarrhea, like it is with a lot of medications and herbals, but the second is kidney stones, and patients with an existing history of kidney stones should be cautious using it because, like, especially when you're using it in like a stronger pill or the cranberry juice form, the plain cranberry juice, it has a moderately high concentration of calcium oxalate, or it has a high concentration of oxalate, and that can bind with calcium in your body, and that can cause calcium oxalate kidney stones. So be cautious of this one. If you have existing kidney impairment, baseline kidney stones, those would be the biggest risks with this medication. So that brings us to our first Jeopardy question. What is a potential side effect of cranberry pills?
Kidney stones.
Yep, perfect. Absolutely. Thank you. And then moving on to dandelions. Dandelions, this is a perennial herb. It's native to temperate regions, kind of in the northern hemisphere. And we get products from the whole plant. So the flower, the leaf, the root, and it can stimulate bile production, which can help us detoxify our liver. And it can also help with digestion. This flower also contains potassium-rich compounds, and whenever you have more potassium in your body and your kidneys are working okay, you're going to have a tendency to urinate out the excess. So because of these potassium-rich compounds, it can promote diuresis or cause you to urinate more. So common uses of this medication would be to use it as a diuretic, so to get water off of you, to use it for a digestive aid, and blood sugar reduction. Side effects of this medication can be GI upset, allergic reactions, because again, it is a weed, and definitely people with environmental allergies can be more prone to being allergic to this, and also bleeding. So drug interactions with this one, if you're already on a water pill, it can cause you to urinate too much, and so diuretics could be a problem. If you're on the medication lithium, which is it's a medication for mood, if you are on this herbal, you can have a decreased amount of lithium excreted in your urine, so you can have a buildup of that medication, which does have a lot of side effects in a narrow therapeutic window. And it can also have interactions with diabetes medications. So cautions with this one would be kidney dysfunction, biliary obstruction, eczema if you're on lithium, and then of course if you're prone to increased risk of bleeding. The next is going to be common in colds, especially in the winter season. We'll start hearing more about echinacea, and these are perennials, and they're related to sunflowers, daisies, and ragweed. So again, just kind of think allergies whenever you hear that. And this originated in the Rocky Mountain. We get the products from the flower, and the potential benefits of this one can be an enhanced immune response, and it inhibits certain enzymes which prevent bacterial spread. So common uses are antimicrobial. You can be allergic to this because it's related to ragweed, which is a common allergy. So you can get allergic reactions, you can get a rash and things like that. Drug interactions would be immunosuppressants. So not only prednisone, but any medication that is going to ramp down your immune system. It could be something like Humira, which is an injectable. It could be medications for transplant patients. There are several immunosuppressants on the market, which you should ask your doctor about using echinacea if you're on one of those. Definitely be cautious in autoimmune disorders and progressive system diseases, as well as severe liver disease with this medication. This is another one that's common in cold season. This is elderberry, and they're the dark purple berries on those black elder trees, and they usually grow in like Europe, North America, and places like that. And we get our products from the berries of this. So these products have flavonoids, and whenever you have that, you can block or you can potentially block viral entry into your cells. So this is another one that fights off colds. It's for immune support, and that's the most common uses. You're going to see it in gummies, capsules, powders, teas. It's antimicrobial and immune support. And side effects, again, it's allergic reactions, stomach upset. It can have toxicity. So if you have just the plain uncooked berry, they do contain cyanogenic glycosides. And if you eat too much of those, you can have toxicity. So drug interactions, again, think immunosuppressants for this one. Same thing as the echinacea. This brings us to garlic. And so this is a flowering plant. It's available widely all over the world. We get our products from the root of this. And this herbal contains allicin, and that inhibits part of the cholesterol building pathway, so it can lower cholesterol. And it also increases something called nitric oxide. Anytime you have nitric oxide, your blood vessels dilate. The more blood vessel dilation you have, the lower your blood pressure can go. And it can also cause disruption of the biofilm left behind by bacteria. So common uses of this medication are going to be cholesterol lowering, blood pressure lowering. People take it a lot for cardiovascular health. It's antimicrobial, anti-cancer. Side effects of this one, it can increase bleeding. It can also upset your stomach if the quantity that you eat is too large, and it can also cause halitosis or offensive breath. And drug interactions with this one, think anything that could increase your bleeding. So aspirin, NSAIDs, your anticoagulants, warfarin, Eliquis, Xarelto, they can all cause increased bleeding when taken all together. And then also some antiretroviral medications like saquinavir can also be problematic. So avoid this medication if you're already at high risk of bleeding, and be cautious of using it in severe liver and kidney disease. And then our next one before our next Jeopardy question is ginkgo biloba. And this is a deciduous tree, and it's so ancient it's actually known as a living fossil. And it's the last remaining species of a primitive family of plants. So these trees have been around for like thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And the plants that, or the piece of the plant that we use is going to be the leaves. And this medication can slow down the breakdown of serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. So again, that's your feel-good hormone. When you slow down the breakdown of them, you will have those neurotransmitters last longer. So that's a good thing for joy and general well-feeling. And so this medication can also improve cognitive function because it increases the numbers of, alpha adrenal receptors in the brain. It can help also regulate blood pressure and smooth muscle contraction. And this medication is commonly used for cognitive function improvement and also peripheral vascular disease. It can cause headaches and dizziness, again, GI upset, skin reactions, and a very, very, very small incidence of bleeding. So do be cautious if you're using antiplatelets or anticoagulants with this medication, because it does contain the ginkgolides, and those have antiplatelet effects. So it can compound your risk of bleeding. So be cautious in bleeding risk. Okay, that brings us to our next Jeopardy question. What is a medication that can potentially interact with garlic?
Blood thinners.
Yep, perfect. Next slide, please. Yep, antiplatelets, anticoagulants, and saquinavir. Thank you. All right. And this brings us to ginger. So ginger is very common, especially in our Indian cooking. It's a root plant native to the warm parts of Asia. Products can be derived from the root, and it blocks serotonin receptors in your brain and also your stomach, and it reduces your perception of nausea. And it can also stimulate gastric motility. So anytime you have a stimulation of your stomach, it can improve digestion. And it also has antioxidants that scavenge those, cancer-causing free radicals, and it protects cells from oxidative damage. So common uses of this one is going to be nausea, a lot of like motion, morning sickness type picture, indigestion, and also it has anti-inflammatory properties. And this one can, again, just like garlic, can cause irritation, heartburn, increased risk of bleeding. Just like garlic, blood thinners would be the medications to be cautious of in using ginger supplements. So be cautious if you have an increased bleeding risk. And then we have ginseng. So this is a root plant native to the Far East, and we derive our products from the root, and it can enhance your dopamine and serotonin levels. So again, those feel-good neurotransmitter levels, and improve your mood and cognitive function. And because it increases adenosine triphosphate production in mitochondria, it can actually boost energy levels as well. And that's why people use it for like energy boosting, stress relief, immune support, blood sugar lowering, like general well-being. It can increase your blood pressure, though, counterintuitively. It can increase your blood pressure. Of course, it can cause GI upset because it's kind of activating. It can cause insomnia, kind of a nervous feeling, and also cause headaches. So if you're on any sort of medication that would increase your bleeding risk, be careful using this one. If you're on antihypertensive, so anything to lower blood pressure, be careful because it can increase your blood pressure. And then also it can lower your blood sugar, so be careful if you're on blood sugar lowering medications. The cautions as far as organ states in this one would be to be careful if you have any sort of severe organ impairment, whether that's kidney, liver, etc., and be cautious using it in high blood pressure. All right, and this is holy basil. This is otherwise known as tulsi, and this is a plant native to India. We derive our products from the leaves, and this contains adaptogenic compounds. So what that does is it's gonna moderate your cortisol levels, and that supports your ability to tolerate like stress. And it also contains certain compounds which are anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and it can actually increase your sensitivity to insulin, which is a good thing to lower your blood sugar. So common uses for this one would be stress reduction, anti-inflammatory, and blood sugar lowering. And side effects, just like pretty much every herbal, you're going to have GI upset. It can also cause sedation and conversely also stimulation, just kind of depending on the dose. And be careful if you're on blood pressure or blood sugar lowering medications. But as far as like organ systems to be cautious of, there's not really that much data out there on, if you have kidney failure or liver impairment or something, to not use it. There's just not a lot out there. All right. We have licorice root, and this is cultivated pretty much all over. You'll see it all over Europe, Asia, Middle East, and we get our product from the root of this. It contains a compound which leads to increased cortisol activity. So it helps break down foods, it regulates your blood pressure, and it controls inflammation. And it can also protect against peptic ulcers because it makes something called mucin. And this herbal medication can also act as a cough suppressant, and it has anti-inflammatory effects in your respiratory tract. So people use it a lot for like stomach ulcers. They use it for like if they have a cough or cold, respiratory health, and also adrenal insufficiency support. Side effects of this one, there are many. So it can cause your blood pressure to go up because again, it increases cortisol activity. Your blood pressure can go up. It can lower your potassium, and that compound that it synthesizes, can cause pseudoaldosteronism from the glycerin. Drug interactions with this one can be potassium depleting agents. So anything that can lower your potassium, think water pills, laxatives, and then be careful using blood pressure medications because it can make your blood pressure go up. So avoid it if you have, heart failure or kidney disease or anything like that. All right, and this is our last slide before we get to our next Jeopardy question. This is going to be milk thistle. And this is a tall plant. It's got these really pretty purple flowers and it's native to Europe. Products can be derived from the whole plant. So you can use the whole plant for this. And it has something called silymarin. And that's a complex that helps stabilize your liver cells, and it protects it from toxins. And it also increases prolactin levels by stimulating the pituitary gland, and it can improve breast milk supply. So you'll see a lot of nursing mothers use this medication or this herbal. People that need liver health support, antioxidant effects are the most common uses. Since this is a plant related to ragweed, you can have allergic reactions to this one. This is the biggest side effect with milk thistle. GI upset is there definitely, and it can also cause headaches. It does have potentially a lot of drug interactions because it has potential mild interactions with a lot of like CYP2C9, 2D6, 3A4 substrate. There's a lot of medications that fall within that family. So this is definitely one, if you're going to use it, please do talk to your doctor before using it. And the most caution should be in patients with existing liver disease before using this one. All right, that brings us to our next Jeopardy question. What is one common use of ginseng? Energy boost. Perfect. Thank you, Theru. Definitely energy boost, stress relief. It makes your mood better. Immune support, blood sugar lowering are all uses for the ginseng. All right. So we're coming to the tail end of this presentation. We just have a couple more to go through. We are now going to talk about saw palmetto, and this is a shrub-like palm native to the Southeast United States. The products that we use are derived from the leaves. It inhibits an enzyme which converts testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. So it reduces prostate enlargement and can help urinary flow. So you'll see a lot of men use this for benign prostatic hypertrophy. And then I guess anyone can actually really use this for urinary symptom improvement. It can cause changes in the libido because, again, it does affect testosterone. So you'll have libido changes. It can cause headaches and GI upset. Be careful if you're on hormone replacement therapy for anything, so prostate cancer or anything like that, since it can cause a small increase of bleeding risk, not much at all, but be careful if you're on blood thinners. And then if you have existing prostate issues, definitely talk to urologist or your general doctor before starting this medication. And that would be like the organ to be most cautious of. So this is one of the probably top 5 most common herbals used. It is red yeast rice, and that's produced by fermentation of fungus on rice. And so we get our products that we use from this fungus. And it has monocolin K, which is a natural blocker of some of the cholesterol pathway. And it's similar to lovastatin, which is a cholesterol lowering agent. So it can also like modulate the expressions of genes involved in your cholesterol metabolism and things like that. But the biggest use is cholesterol lowering, reducing inflammation, and improving like endothelial function or vascular function in your cardiovascular system. Side effects of this one, just like a lot of cholesterol medications, it can cause muscle pain or myopathy. It can cause GI upset and elevate your liver function tests. So if you draw blood and your panel comes back with an elevated liver function test and you're on this, like definitely let your doctor know, you are on this medication. So drug interactions would be statins or cholesterol lowering agents, and any medicine that can be toxic to your liver, be cautious of that. So use caution if you have existing liver and kidney dysfunction. And this is also another really, really common herbal. So this is St. John's wort. It's a flowering plant native to Europe and Asia, and products can be derived from the root of this plant. It has these active compounds in the products that we get from the root, and it inhibits the reuptake of your serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. So again, anytime you have more of your feel-good hormones, it can alleviate depressive symptoms. So common uses for this one are going to be depression, anxiety, and sleep disorders. It can cause a little bit of sensitivity to light, headaches, and fatigue. This has probably the most drug interactions of any of these herbals. It's a really strong CYP450 and PGP inducers, and it can actually lower a lot of drug levels. So be very cautious of that. And then if you are already on like an antidepressant, like an SSRI, fluoxetine, Prozac, anything like that, be cautious. And then be cautious if you have any organ impairment, any kidney dysfunction, liver dysfunction, cardiac dysfunction, be cautious of using this one. All right, and our next to last slide is turmeric. So this is a vibrant yellow plant. It's native to Southeast Asia, and we get our products from the turmeric root. So it has a compound called curcumin, and that modulates various anti-inflammatory pathways and reduces oxidative stress. And we frequently see it used in like patients with osteoarthritis, patients that need anti-inflammatory effects. It can also be used as a digestive aid. And if you use it with black pepper, it can increase the potency of the turmeric. So use it with black pepper extract. And just like some of the other herbals, it can cause kidney stones because it increases urinary oxalate levels again, which bind with your calcium to form calcium oxalate. So if you have kidney stones, be cautious of this one. If you're on immunosuppressants, be cautious of this one because it can be activating. Use caution in gallbladder disease and also severe renal and liver impairment. And just going back to the black pepper extract real quick, the reason why you do that is there's a substance in the black pepper, it's called piperine, and that combines with the curcumin and the turmeric, and that can increase the bioavailability by about 2,000%, so you get a lot more anti-inflammatory effect. And our last one before our last Jeopardy question is valerian root. So this is a perennial plant native to Europe and Asia, and we get our product from the root. It works by interacting with your GABA system in your brain. So it helps promote like sleepiness, relaxation, and generally just kind of brings your mood level down, like not necessarily to a depressive level, but just to like a calmer level. So common uses of this one are going to be insomnia, anxiety. If you have like stress or hormone related changes with premenstrual syndrome or menopausal syndromes, it can help with that. Side effects, it can cause vivid dreams, drowsiness, which is the intended side effect. It can also cause headaches. So if you're on medications that can already interact with your brain, so any sort of like CNS depressants, antidepressants, opioid medications, be careful. If you're on kava or St. John's wort, be careful. Mostly be careful in CNS depression. So anything that can already affect your mood, this one might not be the best one to take alongside with it. And that is our last Jeopardy question. It brings us to our last Jeopardy question, which is, of all the herbals reviewed today, which has the highest potential for drug interactions?
St. John's wort.
Yep, St. John's wort, exactly right.